homosexuality in the Jewish community in my Jewish studies class back in the manual, and we sat in at an informal ed class in Bialik that they were doing homosexuality in the Jewish community and gay marriage. And in my class, we sat down, they told us this is what conservatives believe, this is what reforms believe, this is what Orthodox believe, and this is what Haredis believe. That's, you have to pick and like sort of choose one of those options, and like as in like they said feel free to make your own decisions, but they were the ones they told to pick sort of the sayings. And when I went to Bialik, they performed a Reform Jewish gay marriage ceremony in front of us, and we did an informal discussion group, and 3 of the sort of like facilitators adopted personas, and one of them was a religious rabbi, one of them was a secular nurse and a midwife, and one of them was a NFL star, I believe, and it was Jewish. And they just happened, and we got to ask them questions, and they tried to sort of keep in their character, and I thought that was just a really invaluable way of showing how people don't have to hold one perspective. The AFL star happened to have grown up conservative, was now part of a reform shul, but wasn't particularly practicing, he didn't have time. Like those sorts of things, and the fact that we sort of got to see, even though they were fake people, still people rather than titles, and I thought that was really valuable.
Yeah, do you want to add something?
Yeah. Before I ask my question, I just want to preface it by saying I'm not attacking the Sydney Jewish community at all. But I'm from Melbourne, and I just wanted to know, I'm guessing you haven't like compared your results to Melbourne kids of this of
And some of them were from Melbourne, but I would say more from Sydney.
Okay, so like I run Israel by Choice nationally, and so obviously we don't have the connection of coming home post-Shnat and having like that guaranteed involvement. But, and of course this is being very like stereotypical, that generally the trend is that those kids that come back from Israel by Choice from Melbourne straight away seek out avenues to be involved in the Jewish community and are very active about it. And those Sydney kids kind of just dissipate and do nothing. And once again, not attacking the Sydney Jewish community, but I also find like I'm now in 4th year uni, and my Melbourne like uni friends who are now out of youth movements are still really involved in the Jewish community, and my Sydney friends aren't. And so I don't know if that's going back to what, sorry I don't know your name, what you said, that maybe Sydney's like a bit behind or something, but I was just wondering like what your opinion is on why there is that like disparity.
I think in terms of the education they're getting in high school, they've got really positive and proven results from the experiential education in the schools there, and Sydney's not up to date with that, and I think that is something that has a big change. But I also think, like a lot of what I was saying is that there aren't those structures in place, but I think that's different in Melbourne. I think the Melbourne community are a lot more
committed.
I think it just seems like people are more involved in the community, and it's a lot more like nurturing and welcoming in a way, and that's what I've noticed like, when I've been to Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Canberra. We often get calls from. Well, this is important because you've got these people in Sydney and Melbourne who we get calls from friends from some religious families. Their kids have decided to take a job in Canberra, and however, they're not really all that interested. You have them around for Friday night dinner, and I mean that's the end of it. The community has been aware of all these people out there, and we employed someone to run a group of sort of 25 to 40-year-olds, and it's amazing that there's somewhere between 40 and 50 on the database. So this is people who are out there. There might be one or two that you might see in Yom Kippur or whatever, but most of them you weren't seeing at all. And they work via Facebook and things like that. And we're going out for coffee tomorrow night, we might get 6 or 8 or 10 people going at short notice and so on. But it's one way of doing to try and sort of keep them at least, shall we say, peripherally involved or involved with, mixing with Jewish people and so on. It's the best we can do. But a lot of these kids have come from religious backgrounds, from Jewish day schools. There was one who had a senior position in Odges, had lovely lines in his CV, and then, well, that's fine, I've got that line in my CV, I don't want anything to do with it, basically. As you say, Jewed out. But I think that was just one way that we've found of trying to at least keep them
And I think that's a beautiful example. I wish I'd have thought of it myself, because I was in Melbourne a week ago and Simcha, who works at the Jewish Centre in Canberra, came to speak to us. And I think she is a perfect example.
She's fantastic.
She's a perfect example of what the Millennial Jews text was talking about, that they're going out and they're creating their own ideas. Something that she mentioned is that beforehand there was an Orthodox service running, but there wasn't anything else going on besides that. And one thing that she started doing that was hugely successful was having a Shabbat dinner at the community centre every 2 weeks, and it has been hugely successful. And I think that's a perfect example that there weren't really structures in place there to engage a wide range of people in that age group, and she's putting them in place, and there is a really positive response to it. So it's not necessarily that age group are disengaged, but it's more that they're not finding a way to fit into the community. And so I'm really glad you brought that up, actually.
I was just going to say, I think what you said about, post-youth movement and, then there's August, people may or may not get involved in August, but post, those two things, there isn't much opportunity for young people, and I think that's the big issue, and that's what the civic community needs to grapple with, that there needs to be opportunities for all those young people to get involved on their own terms, doing what they choose to do. I loved your example about spending money the way they want to spend it, not being told how they need to be spending it, and sort of engaging from that grassroots level. And I'm sure that the reason the thing in Canberra is so successful is because it came from the grassroots. They're doing what they want to be doing, and they're engaging with young people in the way that they want to be engaged with, and that's really what it's all about. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we have time for one or two more. Do you want to add something?
Yeah.
I can't help but see the irony of us talking about that black hole youth engagement at one of the only limuds in the world where you get a major discount if you're under 40. And the fact that limud as a whole concept is something that's meant to be coordinated, run by, promoted to that black hole age, with outsiders coming in at different ages just to come and have a look. I can't help but feel limud is just one small part of our community where, again, it's another failed attempt at that. Now, I think, don't get me wrong, obviously I'm here, I think limud is incredible and I'd be here regardless. But, I'm just saying, when it comes to these massive community-wide events that we have, we see it very much as not being something that can be driven by the youth. When we want youth movement attendance at our Yom Ha'atzmaut thing, we can shove them up the back somewhere, then they have a place, but it's only up there and they need to be told to be quiet very often. Whereas the opportunities to actually run the big events within the community, I don't feel we trust them enough. There's this, and I just couldn't help but see the irony, looking around the room, looking at the ages of people at Limud, what a missed opportunity.
I couldn't agree more, and I was actually having a conversation last night. Lana's the Mazkira of Habo, and do you want to explain?
Yeah, well, I have a few things to say.
Exactly.
One is that I'm sorry if this. Oh no, it's fine. It's a video's talk. But one thing is, I'm sorry if this ruins your anonymity, but I'm actually the one who said I'm involved with the youth movements and I don't know what to do after. I'm involved in a 3-year degree. I'll finish Hubbo after 3 years, and I know. And or just isn't an opportunity if you're not at uni, I don't, I think that your thing sounds great and it would be something that I'd be interested in, but I don't want something that I go to every 2 weeks. I'd love to have a job in the community, I'd love to be really as active and as incredibly busy as I am this year, involved in the community when I'm 25, 28, 30, 31, but I just really honestly feel like there's not an opportunity to do that. And maybe there is and maybe I don't know about it, but that's just honestly how I feel. And in terms of engagement with the young people, I don't know, what were we even talking about last night? It was just exactly what you were saying. You can probably explain.
About the youth movements not necessarily being happy with some of the big yomim in the community, and wanting to, especially because a large part of the attendance is people our age, and we thought that maybe we would be able to improve the events and cater more towards what people want, but but
Yeah.
we would never be trusted with that
We're not
responsibility.
heard at all. Like, I know last year in Yom Rabin, there was a Beitar person who had to go up and talk about how great the Oslo Accords are, which, my own personal political opinions aside, she felt really upset and hurt that she was a representative of Beitar in a futsal, Beitar shirt, having to go up and say something that she personally and her movement didn't believe in at all. We're not heard. We're given the opportunity to say things when we're given a text and we're told this is what you're reading, that's final. We want you to be involved because it's great to see the youth involved, but exactly like you said, our Yom Ha'atzmaut involvement this year was everyone was out on the playgrounds, everyone was around all the fun activities like the slides and everything, and we were in the hall on the furthest side, all the youth movements together when no one even walked in.
And I might just get one last comment from Eliza, and then we probably need to wrap it up.
Yeah, so that leads really nicely because Lana's the Haber. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so while Lana is the Haber Maskira, I'm Netse Maskira. So yeah, we've had really big conversations about this. Okay, so we've had I'm Netse Maskira, Lana is the Haber Maskira. So we're friends, and we the Roshim of all the youth movements get together maybe once a month or so. Yeah. And we've had really big conversations about this within our community because we like where we could have really big opportunities for involvement. We just are not trusted. Like, for example, the one thing that's coming to mind right now is there was a big concert for Yom Ha'atzmaut just down the road here at NIDA, around I think April this year. And there was all the youth movement people. It was really great. We were actually given we were told to give the numbers of people from our movements attending, and we got free tickets. But we got there, and as soon as we tried to sort of get into the dancing and singing and stuff, we were told to sit down and be quiet.
Hang on, that was CSG's fault because I was involved in that. That was CSG did not want you up near the stage for security reasons.
Okay, yeah. But
Alright, and I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say thanks very much everyone for coming. Thank you for